All right, welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fantasy Show. Ty the Commish. We have my co-host here, Pearson, and we want to welcome a very special guest, Jersey Jerry. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're big fans, like we said. We're big fans of you. We're big fans of the work you do on the Brilliantly Dumb Show. Shout out Big Game Bob. And I think the biggest reason why, we can relate to you is just your passion, the highs and lows of sports. Big Steelers guy. And the first exposure that we had to you, and maybe a lot of people have had to you, was the El Prez video of you and your reaction to the Steelers loss against Jacksonville. So just tell me, did you ever think that was going to get that much attention? Who filmed it? Just give us a little background on that, man.
No, I didn't. I didn't think that would go viral. I didn't send it in. So I had a buddy here who, whenever the Steelers are playing, he likes to be funny and kind of, record me when I'm not looking. Just so happened he records me. I look at the video. I'm like, after the game, that's pretty funny. He's like, I sent it to Barstool Sports. I had no idea what Barstool Sports is. Long story short, they picked up on it. They posted it, but they did me really dirty in the beginning. They did me very dirty. They didn't tag me in the video until about 2 weeks later. I had a couple people reach out to them. You better tag Jersey Jerry. You better tag him. 2 weeks later, they tagged me, but to no avail. I missed out on probably 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, I thought that cracked me up when I saw it, and obviously now that we get to know you, it just we understand obviously kind of your passion from that game. But
and we've all been there before, that situation. I'm my personal self. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. So
you feel it every week.
Yeah, this year it's just every damn week. It don't stop.
Nah,
so
it'll never stop.
Feel your pain. Yep. That's why we love you, man. We're very relatable with you with sports. So
gambling too, fantasy and gambling as well.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So Pearson, as an Eagles fan, I know he's got some questions for you.
Yeah, so I got number one. My main question is, being the name Jersey Jerry and everything, you'd think you'd be, a Jets fan, a Giants fan. Was it always the Steelers? How did we get to the Steelers? I'm interested to hear from you, how you became a Steelers fan. Was it, family? How did we get to that point? And, the Steelers have never lost yet. So
no, they're undefeated. They never lost. It was always the Pittsburgh Steelers. From little toy cars that are Steelers to dressing up like Jerome Bettis, to watching Cordell Stewart and Tommy Maddox put on ship performance after ship performance. It has always been the Pittsburgh Steelers. How I became a Steelers fan is, one day my dad, had a Steelers jersey on. I must have been in about kindergarten. I was about 5 years old, and I fell in love with the black and yellow. I loved the colors. And as I got older, I used to, my dad used to buy me Steelers footballs and stuff, and I would watch Jerome Bettis. And I told my mom, and Dad, I want to be like the bus. I want to be like Jerome Bettis. So as a teenager, I ate myself to look like Jerome Bettis, which was a bad idea. But, that's near here nor there. That's long gone now. But, yeah, it's always been Pittsburgh. It's always been about black and yellow. And it's always going to be them.
Sure. Yeah, Tyler, the host here, he's a diehard Vikings fan, and he'll tell you, he's born and raised in South Jersey. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I'm one of his best friends. Mm-hmm. But, he clinged on to Minnesota because he loves Randy Moss. So that's a similar situation. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say, Randy Moss is a cool guy, man. I met him in Pittsburgh for Sunday Night Football a couple of years back, and just an awesome guy. I'll send you guys a picture afterwards. Yeah. Really good guy. He was hosting the Sunday Night Football, and it was an honor to meet him. And I got a couple buddies, believe it or not, at work that are Vikings fans. So what do you think about Kirk Cousins? What's your honest opinion about him? Is he the franchise QB?
No. My honest opinion is you look around the quarterbacks in the league, he's better than a lot of the guys that people are trotting out there. Alex Smith, you look at, And I know some people are in backup situations, and not to pick on Pearson as an Eagles fan, but Carson Wentz right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Cousins is good enough to get the job done, but he's not one of the top 10 guys like, Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Mahomes. These guys that go out and win the game. Cousins, if everything's perfect, he can do okay, but he's not going to take you home.
Yeah, and even as a Steelers fan, I'm honest 100% across the board. You know what I mean? Listen, Big Ben is a franchise quarterback, yes, but he is not a superstar now. Now, Big Ben, throughout his whole career, he's the type of quarterback who needs a very good defense to win games. He's excellent throwing the ball. He takes chances. He could fit it in the tight windows. He runs a good 2-minute offense. He calls great plays. But he's also a quarterback, and I'm going to tell you who's going to be like this too, the same way as Big Ben. Danny Dimes is going to need a good defense to win games. He's going to be a quarterback like Ben. Unfortunately, there's guys like Mahomes who they don't need good defenses. You know what I mean? They could do everything themselves.
Sure. And that being said, so going back to that, do we think, the recent weeks you guys have had some big injuries on defense? You took some big hits.
Yes.
So do you think you guys have enough firepower to get past Mahomes in that? If they make it to the AFC Championship, can you beat them? Can your team beat them?
So here's the thing, what I tell a lot of people. Now Devin Bush going down was huge a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Now we got Bud Dupree off the edge going down for the rest of the year. People are going to see how big a loss that is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't replace people like that.
Nope.
Tomlin goes up and says, next man up, next man up. Yeah, it's next man up, but you're not going to replace a guy like that. And listen,
Sure.
you're gonna see T.J. Watt. I mean, listen, he can only do so much, man.
Yep, he's only one guy.
Leads the league in sacks, leads the league in QB pressures, QB hits, tackles for loss. He leads the league in all those categories. Yeah. Now what teams are going to do, man, they're not going to be worried about Bud Dupree coming off the edge. Yeah. Now he gets double-teamed a lot, but now he's going to get double-teamed every single play. But to get back to your point now, listen, the only way the Steelers beat Kansas City in the playoffs is, number one, if they have home field advantage. And listen, I know people are going to say, oh, that's not big. It doesn't matter. It's COVID. Listen, it's big. I don't care. It's big. And the second thing is, the way to beat Mahomes is this. There's only a few teams in the league that can get to the quarterback with rushing 4 people.
Sure.
I would say that's a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would say that's a team like the Colts. I would say that's a team like the NFC. What's that team? Oh,
Rams, I would say.
Rams, there you go. Rams. That's what I was missing.
There, yep.
Rams can get there. You know what I mean? Listen,
the Bears with Akins, they can get there.
Yeah,
too,
but they're not going to make the playoffs, though.
They're not going to make any noise.
But I mean, Tennessee has a horrible, horrible D-line, so I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs if they get to Mahomes and the Steelers don't. Listen, if you get to this guy with 4 people consistently, and like I said, Bud Dupree going down was huge. It was big. And the Steelers have a horrible, horrible run game. And you're going to be forced to throw the ball 50 times against them. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It's tough to call. It really is. I see the Chiefs, honestly, with Bud Dupree going down, winning the game by 7.
Okay.
I think they'll be there. I think those teams are.
I think they will too.
I think they're going to both be there for sure. Listen, let's not get it twisted. Bud Dupree going down is big, but that's still the best defense in the league, man.
Totally agree.
Agreed. No argument there.
Real defense and fantasy defense for sure.
Yep.
Yes.
With this all being said, and I want to jump ship here to my Eagles. We got a lot of the league here, some diehard Eagles fan. We want to hear. We respect your viewpoint, so we want to hear what you think of the whole Carson Wentz situation. I'm sure you got an opinion on it. Do we roll out Hurts? Like, rarely do you see a situation where you pay the guy this much money. Rarely does a franchise, any quarterback, get the opportunity that Wentz is still getting, performing this bad. If you're a quarterback, you're playing bad, you go to the backup. What do the Eagles do? What do you think?
So they're in a tough spot now, you know what I mean? Because they gave Wentz all that money. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to cut him and lose out on all that money? Listen, man, I think he's another quarterback who needs a lot of things around him. Just like Big Ben's had his whole entire career. He's had the best of the best wide receivers. He's had great defenses, you know what I mean?
Very true.
Carson Wentz doesn't have any of that, man.
He's got nothing right now.
He's got nothing. So listen, I don't hate the guy. I think, you know, this year is a really rough year for him. But I say you rotate the two, you know what I mean? Listen.
Okay.
I say I would do this. I would give Wentz a full game, then I would give Hurts a full game.
Yeah.
You know, you got to see what this guy Hurts can do. You can't just roll him out there for one play or two plays and say, "Oh yeah," like
that doesn't work.
Last week he completed a pass, right, and then they just randomly switched Wentz back in. Like, what are you trying to tell this guy Hurts? You know what I mean?
You got to give him a little bit of time to have a chance.
Yeah, at least give him a quarter to play, man.
I agree with you. And
I think there's got to be a little more pressure. You know, Peterson's not the type of coach that puts a lot of heat on Wentz. You know, there's got to be a little more pressure. I know he's got a lot of pressure, obviously, on him, but, you know, you pull him for a game like you're saying and play Hurts a whole game, then he says, okay, well, my job is really in jeopardy. I got to perform better.
Exactly.
Then you get him out there the next game. That could be a good point. It's something different that we haven't seen.
But listen, the reason it's kind of tough, too, is because, listen, if the Eagles had another 2 losses on their record, they're not making the playoffs. Sure. That division's up. That division's up for grabs right now. I mean, it's anybody's division. It really is. And you got to think about it. Like, what's Peterson going to do? He's saying to himself, you know, we can still win this division. So what am I going to do? Just throw a rookie quarterback out there and just see what he could do? You know? But I mean, it's a tough spot for Peterson. It really is. So, you know, I'm not fond of the guy. I think he's a pretty good coach, but I don't think he's a disciplinarian like a guy like Bill Belichick. You know, he's more of a player's coach. Yeah,
he's got immunity because he won a Super Bowl, so he's going to be there for a while. But
I mean, you look at these interviews with Mike Tomlin, and he's bashing his players, man. I mean, yeah,
he was a Viking guy, defensive coordinator. Yeah, I love Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin's he's a very underrated coach too. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, man. He's a top 3 coach in the league. He's never had a losing season. I mean, he gets the guys up for games. And when it's time to discipline the players, he disciplines them, man. Right after the Ravens game, you know, he's saying, listen, our team isn't perfect. We're in a bad spot right now. The running game is horrendous. The defense didn't play that great in the second half. I mean, you know.
He's the only guy that successfully reeled in and kept under control Antonio Brown his entire career.
And listen, I'm telling you, Antonio's first year of getting some big plays and getting really noticed, you got to know he was in that locker room saying, "Get me the fucking ball, get me the fucking ball." And you didn't hear about it for the first 3-4 years.
Nah. And now you hear, you see everything that's going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the Steelers are, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Steelers fan, but that's one of the best organizations in football. And when they're done with a player, that player is done. I mean, look at Martavius Bryant. They cut ties with him. He goes to the Raiders. He's not even in the NFL no more. You look at a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. He was amazing on the Steelers.
True.
Steelers didn't want to pay him. Goodbye. His career went to shit. You know what I mean? Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. These guys are nobodies now.
True.
Yep.
Good point.
Agreed. Good point.
They get all the juice out of them and let them and throw out the rinds. That's what
and the Steelers, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll be honest here, and people are going to call me crazy. I don't see the Steelers bringing back Juju Smith-Schuster.
Nah, I mean, they have a lot of
Very
good young
deep at
guys that
receiver.
they really don't need to.
I don't see it, man. The Steelers are not the type of team to pay their wide receivers. They just don't. They use them for 4 or 5 years. They get what they can in their prime, and then that's it. They're done with them.
Yeah. Maybe they would be in a tougher position if they didn't have
exactly. The only reason I could see them keeping Juju Smith is because Claypool is that deep threat, right? That big body, that red zone target as well. Deontay Johnson is a deep play receiver, great route runner, and Juju Smith is a possession receiver.
Sure.
So they got all 3 covered there. So they might not want to break it up, but I don't know.
All right, well, segue for a second over to fantasy for a second. I actually have Big Ben as my quarterback, but I'm 4-8, so I had a rough season. So, But you said you're a little bit of a fantasy football guy yourself, right?
Yes, I'm in 3 different leagues. Yep.
Okay, all right, so am I. So, you were talking about Will Fuller. I'd love for you to, before we started, I'd love for you to say what you said about Will Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, let's face the facts here. You want to talk about a guy who should have every single point revoked for the year? We're talking about Will Fuller here, a cheater, just a scumbag cheater who should not have any of those fantasy points throughout the whole year. And it's bullshit because it screwed a lot of people. I mean, last week he puts up 36 points. That decimated me, and that probably decimated a lot of other people. I mean, we're talking about a playoff push here in fantasy, and you guys using drugs and illegal substances and just ruining people's fantasy.
It's the worst on Thursday, too, because you get into a big hole, and then
It
you're
is.
like, all right, might as well not even look at it the rest of the week now.
Yeah, I mean, I took a beating. last week. You know, Thursday I went up against Will Fuller and Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
And after Thursday, it was done. I'm done. You know what I mean?
That's it. All right, so fantasy here. Do you have a guy, and I'm putting you on the spot, so if you want to use, I know I'm thinking about in the back of my head, is Connor going to play? Is Snell a decent play? That's a Steeler-specific question. But just in general, is there a guy that you're targeting this week that you think could have a surprise big week in fantasy?
Surprise big week in fantasy. I really, if it's on the Steelers, you know, this is going to shock a lot of people. But if you're down to really nothing, no running backs, and you want to take a chance on somebody, there's the third string running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers named Anthony McFarland. You watch how they use him. They use him on the third down plays. They use him coming out of the backfield. He's very, very fast, very elusive out of Maryland. I could see him, you know, having somewhat of a big week. I could see him getting in the end zone if Connor doesn't play.
Okay.
If Connor doesn't play. And listen, I think the Steelers are on upset alert this week. I really do. It
seems like when they play those teams, they play a little bit down to their competition, and
every year.
Yeah.
Every year it's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And we know you're a big gambler, and so are we. I got college football bets going on right now, but Pearson's gonna, we want to get some takes from you because we know you're hot. We listen to the Brilliantly Dumb show. We know you're hot. So.
Yeah, I think I'm 19 or 18 in my last eight. I'm at about 18-5. You know, recently.
Unheard of.
Yeah, I'm on a heater right now. I like the Saints money line, and I also like the under in the Titans-Browns game. I think it's going to be an under game. I don't see it really being a shootout in that game. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of running the football from both teams. You know, you got Derrick Henry, you got Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. You know, teams are going to establish the run there. I could see an under in that type of game.
Okay.
So my best bet, and I want to hear your viewpoint. I kind of like Houston this week. Home dog, getting 3. I love that. I mean, they're playing the Colts. You know, they're on a skid. I think that's on paper to me the best bet that you get this week.
Well, you gotta, I mean, you gotta look at certain aspects. I mean, listen, they're without Will Fuller, right?
Right.
So you gotta.
But they got Deshaun. They got Deshaun. Now.
Listen, Deshaun Watson. I don't care what nobody says. He's never had a good offensive line. He's never had a good defense. You know what I mean? And he still manages to win games. You know what I mean? So he's a really good quarterback. I could see Vegas just hammering the Colts and just being a sucker play. You know what I mean? And I could see that. I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest with you.
No. All right.
Yep.
All right, and Jerry, like we said, I mean, the last question I think we had for you, I mean, was, like we keep mentioning the Brilliantly Dumb show. How did you get hooked up with those guys, Bobby and crew? How did that happen? And we love to get your takes on there.
Yeah, so I had a couple videos that went viral. A couple places tagged me. A horse video went viral. Big Guy and Bob reached out to me saying, "Hey, Jerry, I'd love to have you on the show." I went on the show one time. It was pretty cool. I never did a podcast before. I went on with him. And then after that, it was pretty much done for 6 months. And he never hit me up. I never hit him up. It was just like a one-time thing. And all of a sudden, I got a message saying, Jerry, I think the next move for us here at the Brilliantly Dumb Show is to get you on full time. And, I mean, if you look at the numbers, since me and Big Game Bob connected and we're going full time, I mean, we just put putting big numbers up, and I think we're next up here. I really do. And I'm looking forward to.
I look forward to listening to the podcast, and you can't argue with 18-5. I don't care who you are. If you're 18-5, you're getting some attention. So I'm following your picks. Go Saints is all I got to say. So let's do it. But hey, man, like I said, this was awesome. We know there's big things in store for you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep hitting your bets. Everybody who watches this video, follow Jerry on Instagram at JerryTheKid21. You can see our show if you search Weekend Warriors Fantasy Football on YouTube. You can catch us. We do shows every week. We'll throw out some fantasy sleepers. Jerry, if you ever need fantasy experts, you know who to come and talk to. We've been doing
send me a message on Instagram. I'll follow you guys back. I want to see some fantasy stuff on your page. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the time, man.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. See you in the funny papers.
See you in the funny papers.
Man.